You're wanting to achieve product market fit. You've done the work to know your ideal customers' jobs to be done. You understand their unmet needs, their problems, their frustrations. Before you build your product, there's one decision that will either save you thousands or sink your minimum viable product. We reveal what software developers really need to build the right thing the first time. Stick around because our guest, Michael Tsapenko from Soft Positive, is a software developer who's seen the wins and the consequences. And together, we're going to show you how to avoid them. Michael, welcome to that Product Market Fit Guy podcast.
Hi, Trevor. Thanks for inviting me. It's a pleasure being part of your show.
Well, it's a real pleasure to have you here and get an insight into your expertise on this topic. Hey, before we get into the meaty content of today's topic, could you tell our viewers a bit about yourself and your company, Soft Positive?
Yeah, sure. I'm in software development business for about 25 years by now, and during the last 10 years, I lead my own company, which serves clients around the globe in United States, Canada, European Union, and Australia, surprisingly.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I really enjoy my work because we build complex software solutions for our customers, and I love facing technical challenges and helping other people to resolve their problems. I would say I'm also kind of professional problem solver, and it's
Nice.
interesting for me to be part of that.
Yeah, I'm actually aware of a couple of the projects that you did here in Australia, and I know one of those was pretty complex and pretty big project, and it was a good outcome because I know the people.
Yeah, to tell the truth, we are in the process of finishing the third project for that customer. So
Oh,
yeah, we
wow.
made a lot of progress. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Michael, I know you've worked on many projects, but in the context of contributing to achieving product market fit with your clients, what do developers actually expect from founders before they start coding?
Well, it depends on the professional level of developers. I would
Yes.
say low-level developers, they would expect very, very detailed software requirements specification as an input. More senior developers or more advanced developers, they understand that it's not possible to document all the details because the documenting may take, if not months, but even years in worst
Yeah.
cases. So they are open to some uncertainty, and they understand that requirements is something which changes while the project is being executed. And it's important for the client as well to realize that they will want to change the requirements during the project execution, because you cannot foresee everything at the very beginning. Most probably you will want to change something, add something, or maybe remove something.
Yeah.
And that also
Yeah.
depends on whether you include your customers in this process. They will also try to influence your roadmap, probably in some way.
Yeah.
So, in general, I would say the minimum input developers expect is kind of software requirement specification. You may call it something like just requirements, less
Yeah.
formal name for this document, um, where the author or product owner should describe all the features or functional and non-functional requirements for the product to be built. There are several ways to do that. For example, you can describe the product from feature perspective, so that you list all the features to be present in the software, and then you describe roles present in the product as well, and how these roles interact with those features to achieve some specific results. Or you can
Gotcha.
go with another approach, which is based on user stories, when you just describe actors, their actions, and expected results. More or less, they're similar, but there are some differences.
Yeah, and I guess, Michael, and you know, on this, you know, our company, you know, that we really focus on, you know, understanding the jobs that customers are trying to get done, what their frustrations are, and what the problems are they have in trying to get those jobs done. So I imagine for you to receive a briefing that, you know, from your customer, the client who's wanting to get it developed, that has that sort of detail about what specifically is the job that we're trying to get done here, and what are the current frustrations. Would that help guide you as to knowing what the outcome you want to achieve is from a product market fit perspective?
Sure, it's always helpful if we have wider view on the problem or on the business of our customers, so that we understand how the software that we are going to build fits in that picture, so that we not just isolate ourselves and think about only this product, but we see the global picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, for that purpose, usually it's better to start with defining the pain points which business or client want to resolve, and how software actually can help with that. Because sometimes
Yep.
it's not only software, it may require some organizational changes, and something which is out of software development scope. It could be just or it could be combination of multiple things to be done, and we need to understand how software fits into this orchestration, something like that.
It's often about how can we get this job done, you know, faster, simpler, making it easy for the end user, and that's, I guess, where your technical expertise comes into play.
Yeah, there may be different goals. It may be improving the usability of existing business process, or cut costs, or introduce some new services. So depending on the goal, yeah, we think about how to achieve that goal with the software.
Well put. So we know ourselves in working with clients that sometimes the client is making a lot of assumptions. What is the risk, or why is it risky to simply rely on the product owner's assumptions for design input?
Yeah, it's interesting thought. Usually, the software development process is structured in a way that there is a product manager assigned from the customer side, who develops that requirement specification, thinks about the goals of the product and how to achieve them, etc. But often it happens that this product manager actually never executes those tasks which
Yeah,
this
right.
product is designed for. So that leads actually to making assumptions by the product owner. Uh, and ideally, what I usually recommend to do is to invite end users, those people who will actually use this software, or who are actually now involved into some existing business processes which we want to replace or to improve, and ask them their opinion, or present them early results of the software development, so that we get the feedback from them and incorporate this feedback in incremental software delivery. And yeah, that's important part.
Yeah, and that's a really good segue into the next question I had for you, Michael, which is, you know, how did clickable prototypes change the game before you actually start the full on development?
Yeah, clickable prototype is also one of the things which we usually recommend our customers to do. Even though it may be perceived as an additional investment, usually it saves a lot of effort, time, and money because the software development life cycle theory says that the sooner we identify some problem and resolve it, the cheaper it will be to resolve. So
Yeah.
usually the problem is misunderstanding of the requirements or misinterpretation, or even product owner may not understand correctly what he or she wants to achieve. And once it's visualized, there may be some thoughts how to implement it. And
Guess that clickable prototype allows you to sort of test it with a few of the end users to start getting that feedback, correct?
yeah, one of the things or one of the advantages of this approach is that you can present this clickable prototype to those to the focus group of end users and get their feedback and inputs without even starting coding. So that's probably the cheapest way to present your thoughts to the audience and get the feedback and incorporate that into the requirements for the future software.
Yeah, I know myself. I've seen projects where the product owner, the product manager, has made assumptions that they knew everything about what the end user would need. Spent a lot of money building the whole thing, and then put it into the hands of users and realized that there's it's not exactly what they're after at all from a user experience perspective. I'm sure you've come across some projects like that.
Yeah, sure. I think it just depends on the how you look at the software development. If you look at it as a building a house, for example, then you can build a house without knowing who is going to buy it, right?
Yeah.
So you may not even care. So you build the house and then you look for the buyer, and
Yep.
that buyer will come and maybe he or she will fall in love with what you've built or not. With the software, especially if you build it for the internal purposes, so maybe it's some kind of internal tool you want to introduce in your company which will replace some manual work, there is no way you can choose the end user or your customer.
Yep.
You are locked to
Yeah.
something, to your audience, and that means that you need to invite your customer while the house is being built and ask, do you like this or not? Yeah, what color you prefer, what room size, what kitchen equipment you prefer, etc. Not like you build everything and then say, buy it, take it, or like it or not. Yeah, something like that.
That's a really clever analogy, Michael. I love that, vision of being able to put that into context. And so, really, one of the lessons learned here is to get end users involved in the process as early as possible. So, what's the cost of skipping a proper UX or user experience testing before development, Michael?
Well, it's hard to measure this cost because it's usually something intangible. But from my gut feeling, let's say, I think that the cost saving is really essential in this case, particularly because
Yeah,
uh, I know that changing the code upon some change request may take to 3 times more time and money than just changing the layout of some prototype. That's for sure. Or maybe there will be even higher multiplier in this case, but just to
yeah,
be on the safer side, I would say 3 to 5 times. So I think the cost savings are very significant.
yeah. And so I guess that goes back to our discussion around using clickable prototypes that yeah, might be a little bit more investment, but they're pretty inexpensive compared to doing a full coding project and getting that right before you actually start the full development.
Clickable prototype is a good way to perform exploratory part of the project. So anyway, you need to learn the requirements, to discuss it with between development and product team. So you can do it using text and exchanging emails, sending back and forth that requirement specification, or you can start by visualizing those requirements and help both parties to envision how it's going to be built. So these investments actually are inevitable. So you will spend time on this and you will spend money on this. The clickable prototype is just more advanced way of doing that, how you discuss the requirements.
To me, it sounds like a smarter way to do things.
Exactly.
And a lot of people are very anxious and excited about just getting in and building it. But the smart way seems to be, let's just build a very inexpensive, clickable prototype, put it in the hands of users, learn from it, and then that will inform your development as you go. Michael, I'm sure with 25 years of experience in the industry, I was wondering, can you walk us through maybe a real UX fail that you've seen, and what do you think could have been done to prevent it?
Yeah, I can give you some example from my personal experience, the most painful probably.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just want to give an example from my personal experience. So recently this year, I was traveling with my family using my electric car, and I had to charge my vehicle. And what usually happens here in Spain, you need to download and install the mobile application before you can start charging. And it was a sunny day. I downloaded this application, and another thing which usually happens is that you have to register yourself and input a lot of your personal information. And in this particular case, it required me to input my document ID. But as you
Oh.
can see on this screenshot, the name of the document was of the very dark color, which nearly
Oh, okay.
indistinguishable with the background. And I tried inputting my ID number several times, but apparently I had just to go to this drop down and select another option before I could proceed. And
Oh my
was
God.
yeah, most frustrating part was that it was just saying wrong document ID, wrong document ID, and nothing else. So no guidance about how to resolve this problem. So I actually provided the feedback to the developers of this, or to operators of this charging network, and hopefully they will change this. But I think if they prototype this before launching this application into production, they could easily track down this problem and maybe provide some better solution, maybe not drop down, but radio button selection here, or at least distinguishable colors, and test it with different color schemes, because dark scheme now is very popular with mobile devices. Probably they just didn't think about it.
And that's a classic example of, had they have put that in the hands of a few users, that would have been fed back to them really quickly.
Yeah, and most probably they didn't even test this application with real users. So probably they just played in their software development lab with software developers, QA engineers, and maybe they were limited with the devices and things like that. I don't know. It's just weird. And this is one of the biggest networks in Spain, which is
Is that
surprising.
right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's funny how I know we have the situation here with some of our government websites. Yep, they technically work, but the user experience is not that brilliant, not that brilliant at all. Okay, so Michael, if you were to summarize, you got a few things that you wanted to show us. I was wondering if you could take us through what you've got to demonstrate to our viewers?
Yeah, I've just prepared a few examples of those clickable prototypes, which I think are very helpful, and I can show you how we actually translated them into real products.
Oh, that
So,
would be awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, let's take a look at those because I think a lot of people, yes, the listening to your advice and all that is really helpful, but to actually visualize what clickable prototypes are like gives the viewers a really good understanding.
Okay, I would like to start with this example of clickable prototype, which we created for one of our customers. So, as usually, we got the requirements in the form of software requirement specification.
Yep.
The software requirement specification just listed a lot of features, data structures of the future product we had to be built, which we had to build, and yeah, we agreed to start with prototyping, and we created a clickable prototype of that future product, which allows to present how we envision the implementation.
Can you just define what a clickable prototype is for the viewers?
So the clickable prototype is essentially a set of pictures created by UI designer, which are connected one to another by clicks. So here, designer maps clickable areas. As you can see, they are highlighted right now, and
Yeah.
defines which image should be visible after user clicks that area. So it's just a sequence of images. There is no code. That's why
No code.
it's easy to change, maintain, update. So it usually takes just half an hour to change the page or implement some really big changes to the prototype. With the code,
And
it will be much more time.
lots of
That's why,
work.
yeah, that's why it's a really good thing to use for exchanging ideas and polishing um, the vision before going ahead with the implementation.
I imagine, Michael, that in doing this sort of thing, it enables both the product owner and possibly even a few end users to actually experience what it would be like once the code is actually in there.
Yeah, it allows to get the feeling of how it's going to be in the future. It's not exactly functional, so like I said, it's just a set of images. So the interactivity is very limited to um, images defined by UI designer. So
Yeah.
if end user and product owner keeps that in mind, it will be really smooth and very positive experience. And yeah, as you
And
can
I guess
see, yeah,
the whole purpose of that, Michael, is to get that feedback, to actually understand from a user who might say, oh no, I wouldn't click to go to there. I would rather click and go to here first and then go to there. Is that, am I sort of on the right track there?
exactly. There is, like I said in the beginning, there is always a risk of misinterpretation of the requirements or misunderstanding, miscommunication, etc. So this clickable prototype is a very good tool to keep both product owner and users and developers on the same page and reconcile the visions of all parties being part of this process.
Yep.
So yeah, that's
Fantastic.
an excellent tool for that purpose.
Wonderful.
Yes, as you can see, this clickable prototype allows end user and product owner and even developers. There may be multiple developers on the team, and you have to explain somehow how to implement this feature. So this is a good tool to present um, or provide visual representation of text requirements and how the interaction should be implemented. So in this case, for example, there is a wizard type of form uh, which allows to capture a lot of information from the user in several steps, as an example.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
yeah, in this case, it allows to visualize how the whole process will look like. And
Yeah. Brilliant.
a lot of functionality could be implemented in a short period of time. I think this is a good example. And here is the actual implementation. As you can see, we tried to be, like they say, pixel perfect, try to implement exactly the same software as it was envisioned during the prototype. So actually, from this perspective, it's not only investment in the clickable prototype, it's also part of the design process. So you can reuse these assets later during the
Hmm.
execution of the project. So it's not something you just throw away and forget
Yeah.
about it. You can use a lot of elements of this process later when you develop the software. So we used all the UI elements designed during the clickable prototype development in actual software, so we used a lot of assets designed during the clickable prototype in the actual software.
That's brilliant. Michael, that's a really, really valuable demonstration. And I think, some of the key learnings here for those, particularly who haven't had software development experience, is to actually take this pathway, because in the long run, your product's going to come out a whole lot more user friendly. It's going to save you money in the long run. And am I right in assuming that it actually speeds up the process of development, because once you've got through this, you actually know what you're building?
Yeah, at the beginning, it may look like you are wasting time because you want to jump in and do something really valuable, actionable. But in reality, you are saving time. Yeah, because later you don't need to spend that much time on explaining the requirements to the development team, especially if there are multiple participants in this process. So you can just share this link to the prototype and say, guys, we need to develop this. And you will just slash half of the questions that development team will have to you. That's
Yeah,
a really great way to communicate the requirements for the development team as well. So not only just text, you provide visuals, and that helps a lot. So
that's
uh,
brilliant.
it saves really time and money.
Excellent. And that's what, particularly startups, they don't have the expansive funds and budgets to just keep reiterating when something's not right. So I think out of today's discussion, Michael, that's probably one of the most profound examples of why to take that path. In order to ensure that you get good product market fit through user experience, what would you say, in summary, sort of the top three recommendations you would make to the viewers?
Yeah, sure. I think three most valuable things which I would like to advise to product owners or people who want to build some product. Um, Anticipate changes. Most probably, you will not be able to foresee all the requirements, all the details of the future product. So try to focus on some key scenarios which you want to implement with the software, and that should be actually included into the MVP. I've seen some
Yeah,
examples when product owner calls something MVP, but it is actually a full-featured product. It's not
yeah,
an
yeah.
MVP. So it's also kind of trap which product owners fall into by calling something. Yeah.
if I can just interrupt, for those viewers, an MVP is the minimum viable product, which is the minimum product that'll do specific jobs to be able to get it into the user's hands as quickly as possible to get yourself into the market. So yes, go on, Michael.
Yeah, but there may be a classical definition of MVP, but in reality, when product owner says MVP, I want to build an MVP, and there are tons of requirements, and I, as a developer, can tell at the beginning that you can move out 30 or 50% of those features and
Yeah,
start with really something core. And the goal of MVP is to shorten the time to market and present your thoughts and ideas to real users in a very, very short period of time with minimum investments. So,
yeah,
yeah, don't be
great
trapped
advice.
by calling something really big an MVP. It should be really
Yeah,
small and
yeah,
focus
yeah.
on
We all
key,
agree on that.
yeah, on focus on really key scenarios, ideally, which will really address pain points or generate revenue. So anything else
Fantastic.
could be postponed to future releases. That's my recommendation. And like we already discussed, I highly recommend starting with the clickable prototype even before going forward with building MVP, because it will also be very helpful. Engage end users as soon as possible. I understand that sometimes there may be no so-called early adopters or people who want to participate in testing your product, but if you can engage them in different ways by offering them free or, use of the product or some other perks, uh, try doing that and engage them and help the product owner to define the real pain points and define real requirements for the future product. That's my recommendation.
Well said. Well said. I mean, Michael, from our perspective, we encourage our viewers to make sure an early adopter program is a must. And so, being able to have those people, and we've actually got a whole episode on how to develop your early adopter program. So that's really, supporting and validating that process from our perspective.
I'll have to look
So,
that episode because maybe I'll learn something from you how to engage early adopters.
yeah, very valuable indeed. Well, Michael Tsapenko from Soft Positive, if people want to get in touch with you, Michael, how can they do so?
Sure, you can reach out to me by email. You may find me in LinkedIn, or you just visit our website and click contact form, and I'll be happy to help you and build something really incredible together with you. Yeah, you're welcome.
Fantastic. Well, look, for our viewers, we'll make sure Michael's contact details are in the description below and links to his website. Michael, that's been a valuable process of learning from a developer's perspective and some great advice to our viewers about how to achieve that user experience, which is such an important component of product market fit. Michael, I know it's late in your time, it's early in my time. Thank you for making the effort to coming on to that Product Market Fit podcast. We appreciate all that, and we hope to talk to you again in the near future. Thank you, Michael.
Yeah, it's a great pleasure for me to participate in helping other people to achieve better results. Yeah, it's part of my job.
Brilliant. That's our
Thank you very much.
goal.
Yeah,
All right, Michael. Thank you. Bye for now.
bye bye.